New health orders, but same old BS. This and more on the Manitoba Freethinker podcast. Welcome back to another show, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day as always. Quick question, are you guys happy with Manitoba's slow reopening plan despite our high vaccine numbers? And how do you feel about Manitobans who are fully immunized getting more privileges over Manitobans who either haven't got vaccinated yet or have only got one dose? Do you guys agree or disagree with having two classes? And let me know how you guys feel with the use of immunization cards. Like, how do you guys feel about having to show proof that you have got the vaccine if you are? But let me know in the comments below how you guys feel. I personally am not happy with the 4-3-2-1 Great Summer Plan to reopen. First of all, summer will be over by the time we hit our goals to reopen, and it will be just in time for the quote fourth wave to hit, and more shutdowns and restrictions will be put upon Manitoba. And I am definitely not happy with the use of immunization cards and allowing certain privileges to Manitobans who have gotten their vaccine over others who haven't. And that's for whatever reason they haven't gotten it. I don't think it's a good road to go down, in my opinion, even if it's only for a short period of time. And this is not like it needs to be done. We have higher vaccine numbers than other provinces are, and they're not dividing their population into two classes. They're not forcing their citizens to show proof of a vaccine. This is something Manitoba and a few other provinces are doing only. It sounds like something out of 1940s Germany. But let me know Manitoba, how you guys feel about it in the comments below. Alright, Manitoba, I'm sure most of you are aware on Wednesday, Premier Brian Pallister held a news conference with our Chief Provincial Public Health Officer, Dr. Brent Rusin, and they unveiled the new health restrictions that are going to come into effect tomorrow, July 17th at 12 a.m. And right now, they went over some stats. Nearly 77% of Manitobans have gotten their first shot, and over 58% of Manitobans have received both doses. That brings the total doses administered to over 1.6 million. Pallister thanked both the Immunization Task Force and Manitobans in general just for this accomplishment. He acknowledged that these numbers are some of the highest in the country, but despite this, unlike other provinces with way lower vaccine numbers, Manitoba is still sticking with its two-class system and giving more freedoms to those who are fully vaccinated. Here's a clip from the news conference.
We want to move forward. We want to loosen restrictions more, but today we're announcing some effective changes that will come into play, I think, 12:01, Brent, on Saturday morning.
Correct.
All Manitobans will be able to enjoy more freedom starting then, with expanded indoor and outdoor activities. And fully immunized Manitobans who have received both doses at least 2 weeks ago will continue to enjoy even more benefits for doing their part to protect themselves and their community. Under the new public health orders, fully vaccinated Manitobans will also be able to go to a movie or visit a museum. And these are things that many Manitobans hold dear, and I know you'll find that to be exciting news.
So on one hand, Pallister keeps mentioning that it's a choice for all Manitobans to make on their own, and his government won't mandate or force Manitobans to get vaccinated. He was even asked during the press conference about two of his ministers who have not been vaccinated, and he made it perfectly clear that his government isn't going to mandate it, but he's okay with forcing businesses to do it for him. So, he instead just calls them privileges instead of rights. So this is so short-sighted. Once Manitoba moves to giving out health advice instead of health restrictions, businesses won't legally be able to implement these rules. Businesses can't ask those types of questions. They can't ask for your health record or your vaccine history. If they try, there are going to be so many human rights lawsuits filed because they can't discriminate based on your health record. But yet, here's Pallister making the claim his government isn't going to do it. And at the same time, he's perfectly okay with having businesses do his dirty work. Here's a clip.
Well, I'm not going to be talking about personal health details with anyone. That's the choice of every Manitoban. We've respected that choice and that right of Manitobans to make decisions with their own body. From the outset, we're going to continue to. I don't know any government in Canada for sure that would espouse any other position. So we're going to continue to do everything we can to encourage Manitobans to make the choice of getting a vaccination and then getting another one. And we think that's the right thing to do, and that's what we'll be continuing to stay focused on.
So I can't for the life of me understand how or why these orders are crafted. At least this time Pallister isn't making the claim they're based on science, like he was the last set of changes. Like, even if we're currently waiting for a ruling to come back whether Dr. Brent Roussin has the legal right to even implement these restrictions and lockdowns. So even if we do get a ruling that comes back that it is legal for him, I don't see how it could be legal on how he's deciding what to open and what he's deciding to keep closed and by what percentage they're allowed to operate at. And when it comes to group sizes, for example, how many people, if any, can come over to your private residence? How many can gather in public? How many can gather inside? It's so random. And when he's asked about it, he always has the same answer. That the orders can't include everything and they can't take every business into account. So they have to be more general in the order. That how can you base how can you determine that's legal based on him admitting how the orders are come up with? You know what I mean? And just so you know, a side note, the judge presiding on the case, it's Judge Glenn Joyle. He recently brought some information that he was being followed, and it turns out it was the president of the JCCF, John Carpe, that did this and gave the okay for it. And the JCCF is the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms, and they're the law firm representing the 7 churches that's taking Dr. Roussin to court on the constitutionality of the lockdowns. And they're the ones behind it. So it's kind of funny. They hired a private investigator to follow the judge in what he claims, Mr. Carpe claims, was to make sure public officials were following the guidelines as well. This definitely blew up in his face. Mr. Carpe ended up stepping down as president of the JCCF. But all that stuff is for another show. I just think it's funny that this is the judge that is going to determine whether Dr. Roussin has the legal right. And now the firm representing the churches taking him to court had him followed. The judge said this won't affect his ability to make a ruling on the case. But, I mean, come on. The judge is human. So this is definitely not going to help. But I'm going to read to you the changes that took place so you guys have an understanding of what I'm talking about, and you let me know if these changes make any sort of sense to you. And that's for the people who agree or disagree with the lockdowns. So, if COVID is posing such a threat to our healthcare system, like some people claim it is, then why open up what we currently are opening up? Why increase the gathering size limits then? Why put Manitobans at risk if this whole time you were claiming you are putting these restrictions in place in order to keep Manitobans safe. And on the flip side, if our healthcare system isn't being overrun anymore, like we all know it isn't, we all have the numbers, then why have any of these restrictions at all? Why not open up completely like other provinces are? And I know they keep saying that we're late to the third wave, but that means fuck all if our case numbers are low and our vaccine rates are high. It doesn't matter how late we are to the third wave if it's not affecting us like it did, how it affected other jurisdictions when they were hit with the third wave. We're obviously more prepared for it. So Pallister is once again trying to convince Manitobans to roll up their sleeve and get immunized so we can hit our next milestone of the 4321 Great Summer Plan to reopen and get our freedoms back. When even currently when Manitobans have followed those guidelines and recommendations and got the double dose, they still don't get them back. Just a couple of examples of what I'm talking about, and there's plenty of examples. But if you've had 2 doses, why are you still required to wear a mask? For what purpose? That's definitely not scientific. You know what I mean? And if you're only allowing fully vaccinated people to attend certain businesses, then why limit the capacity of that business? That makes absolutely no sense. Why can't a business run at 100% if it's only allowing fully vaccinated people to attend? Why would you limit their capacity? That makes zero sense. But just so you know, in order to hit the next milestone that Pallister's now talking about, the 4321 plan for September long, that's the next milestone. We need 24,000 more Manitobans to get their first dose and 87,000 more Manitobans to get their second dose. So I can't imagine what's going to happen in Manitoba if we don't hit those targets come September long, and there's still lockdowns and restrictions when we look to all the other provinces that are 100% open and way past implementing any restrictions on their citizens. And that includes mask requirements. And we're going to be here in Manitoba still limiting the size of people that can come over to your own house. That is not going to go over. That's not going to go over well for many Manitobans, in my opinion, I don't think. But here are the changes that are going to take place. They're going to come into effect July 17th at 12:01. Okay, so change number 1. Indoor gatherings at private residences were currently not permitted, and the change is now up to 5 visitors, in addition to those who reside there can now visit. So first of all, I can't even imagine people actually followed that first rule of not allowing anyone over to their home. I personally did not, and I don't even think I know anyone that did. So that's change number 1. You can now allow 5 people to come over. The 6th person is breaking the law. Outdoor gatherings at private residences. You were allowed 10 people, and they were allowed inside for essential uses, and the change is now you're allowed up to 25 people. Okay. Indoor gatherings in public spaces. You were allowed up to 5 people, and now it switched up to 25 people. Outdoor gathering in public spaces. You were allowed up to 25 people, and it switched. You're allowed up to 150 people. So I find it funny that you're allowed 150 people outside in a public space, but they limit you to 25 people in a private space outside. Does that make any sense to you? I don't think so. So restaurants were currently allowed to operate at 25% indoors, and now they're allowed to operate at 50% indoors. And all the same rules apply to sitting at the table. Fully immunized can sit anywhere. But if you're not, you have to sit at the same table. All that stuff applies still. But one change is they're allowed to stay open till midnight, and you don't need to purchase food if you're purchasing alcohol. So that's another change. So VLTs and licensed establishments may operate with 2 meters of physical distancing, and all of their restaurant bar rules applying. VLTs in unlicensed establishments will follow the casino rules, allowing only vaccinated people. For gyms and fitness centers, they were only allowed to operate at 25%. Now they are allowed to operate at 50%. And you're still required to wear a mask. Casinos, bingo halls, and VLTs were closed under the new law restrictions. Casinos, bingo halls, and VLT lounges will be open to 50% capacity to fully immunized people only. VLTs and licensed establishments may be operated with 2 meters of physical distancing and all other restaurant bar rules applying. VLTs and unlicensed establishments will follow the casino rules for fully immunized people only. So, does that make sense to limit a casino or bingo hall? If you're only allowing fully immunized people, then why limit it to 50%? Why can't they operate at 100%? It makes zero sense. This is why I don't see how Judge Glenn Joyal can come back with a verdict of it's legal what he's doing, because nothing is based on science here. Museums and galleries were closed. Now they're open 50% capacity to fully immunized people. Like, unvaccinated children under 12 may attend to if accompanied by fully vaccinated members of their household. So another business that will only allow fully vaxxed people, but still only allow 50%. Unreal. Libraries were closed. Now libraries may open at a 50% capacity or to a maximum of 150 people. Professional sports or performing arts events, they were open to 50% for fully vaccinated people with a plan approved by public health. Now they're open 100% to fully vaccinated people with a plan approved by public health. So for sporting events like the Bombers, they're allowing 100% capacity, I guess because it's outside, to fully vaccinated people. But if everyone's fully vaccinated, you can't go to a bingo hall at 100% capacity. Horse racing and auto racing is approved at the discretion of the medical officer of health. Movies, theaters, and concert halls were closed. Now they're open to 50% capacity to fully immunized people only. Fuck. Makes no sense. Unvaccinated children under 12 may attend accompanied by a fully vaccinated member of their household. So apparently they just don't think COVID spreads with kids under 12, I guess. I don't know. Makes no sense. None of this makes any sense. Weddings and funerals were open to 25 participants for outdoor ceremonies. And indoors, weddings and funerals, they were limited to 10 people indoors. Now they're open to 150 participants outdoors and 25 people indoors. So indoor community, cultural, and religious gatherings, they were open to 25% to a limit of 25 people. Now they're open to 50% to a limit of 150 people. And still masks must be worn at all times. And outdoor community, cultural, and religious gatherings, it was open to 50 people. And now it's open to 150 people. Personal services was open at 50%, and it continues to be just open at 50%. So that's like, but the one change is for like hair salons and stuff, you no longer need an appointment. So that was a crazy rule to begin with. I don't know why they implemented that one. For indoor sports and recreation, it was open at 25% to a limit of 5 people, no tournaments allowed. And now it's open to a limit of 25 people per group, but still no tournaments allowed. So they upped the group size from 5 to 25. Outdoor sports and recreation, it was open to 25 people, no tournaments allowed. Now it's open to 50 people, no tournaments allowed. But spectators are permitted without counting towards the capacity. Dance theater and music schools, they were open at 25% capacity. Indoors or 25 people outdoors. And now they're open 50% capacity to a limit of 25 people. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Dance, theater, and music schools, they were open at 25% capacity to a limit of 5 people indoors or 25 people outdoors. Now they're open at 50% capacity to a limit of 25 people indoors. And it doesn't say about outdoors. Day camps, open to a maximum of 20 people in the groups. And the switch is now they're open to a maximum of 25 people in the groups. So they upped the group size by 5. Retail markets, garden centers, and malls, they were at 25% to a limit of 250 people. Now they're at 50% with a limit of 500 people. So they doubled the size inside them. Workplaces, they're no longer required to make their staff work remotely. That's a big change, even though they weren't enforcing that rule, so that didn't matter. And indoor self-help gatherings, there was at a 25% capacity to a limit of 25 people. And they just changed it to indoor gathering limits applied, permitted up to 25 people. So no change there. Okay. So there's all the changes. I hope I didn't read it too roughly. But you could see that none of them make sense. Like, I mean, it just, I can't understand why you're limiting businesses who are only allowing fully vaccinated people, like a casino, where no one will be there under 12 years old, that's for sure. There'll only be adults there. So why limit them to 50%? It makes zero fucking sense. In the legal sense of it, it makes zero sense. So that's my problem. That's where I don't think that Judge Joyle can come back saying that Russin didn't overstep his bounds. But Manitoba, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're happy with this. If you're happy with how we're slowly opening up Manitoba. Or let me know if you're outraged like me. It's just ridiculous. And I see no rhyme or rhythm to it. But either way, Manitoba, let me know how you guys feel. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning into another show. I really do appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff that helps out the show. If you guys want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter at mbfreethinker. Or you can go to my webpage. It's pretty low key, but it's mbfreethinker.wordpress.com. And you can get links to all my previous episodes there if you can't find me on whatever podcast platform you listen to. I'm on most of them, still not on Apple. But either way, if you need to email me, that's mbfreethinker@gmail.com. But other than that, Manitoba, thank you so much for tuning in to another show. And I will catch you guys in a couple days. Bye.